to Those Vegan Chefs. I'm Stefan, and this channel is dedicated to making you a better vegan cook. Today we're making a vegan roasted pumpkin featuring Szechuan peppers and leeks 2 ways. The dish starts with braised leeks and shiitake mushrooms. We're going to place the roasted pumpkin on top of the leeks. Spoonful of the creamed leek. We're going to garnish with micro shiso. That pop of mint is amazing. We're going to add just the smallest amount of leek oil right on top of the creamed leek. This is either a perfect starter or an entree, and it's the great way to ring in the fall season. So let's make it. We're going to start with cutting the pumpkin, and we're going to cut it in a little untraditional way. We're actually going to cut it into big rounds, and then we're going to cut the rounds in half, creating a beautiful crescent of pumpkin. So I like to use a serrated knife so we could cut the pumpkin without cracking. And we're going to just kind of work our way around the pumpkin. You have to take your time. And once we get the cut established, we can just kind of move right through. All right, here we go. Okay, we have our beautiful rounds of pumpkin. Basically, we're going to cut the round in half. Clean out the seed. The pumpkin is portioned. We're going to season with sea salt. Flip them. Okay, our pan's hot. We're going to add just enough oil to coat the bottom. Little caramelization, not too much because we're going to roast it and baste it in the oven next. It's time to make our basting olive oil Szechuan pepper mix. All right, the first step in making our marinade is smashing up about a tablespoon of Szechuan peppercorns. We're just going to lightly break them up. 2 minutes later, okay, maybe 3 or 4. There we go. So we just kind of broke them up. There's some finer ones, there's some larger ones. It's no big deal. All right, we're gonna add that to our bowl. Woo, spicy. We have a tablespoon of poultry seasoning. We have a tablespoon olive oil. Pinch of sea salt, tablespoon of mirin, tablespoon of sesame seeds. So we have some sweetness, spice, umami from the poultry seasoning, richness from the olive oil, all paired with the caramelization and the sweetness of the pumpkin. Okay, we're gonna just coat the pumpkin. We're going to roast it in the oven at 425. Make sure you get the inside. You might have to add a little more olive oil. So we're going to flip. Okay, it was in the oven for 10 minutes. I actually increased the temperature to 450 degrees. I felt like 425 is a little too low. I wanted a little more charring. And we're going to baste the other side and we're going to cook it for another 10 minutes. I'm very excited for the leek sauce. We're gonna use the entire leek. Part of it we're gonna braise, and part of it we're gonna make a creamy, sweet leek puree. So we're gonna start by cutting the tender part first. We're gonna trim the stem off. We're gonna cut it in half, into quarters. Then we're going to dice it. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to braise it and then we're going to puree it. All right, we're going to put the leeks in cold water. And essentially, the goal of this is to release any dirt that's hidden in between the layers of the leek. See, we're going to break up all the layers, make sure there's no grit. Gritty sauce doesn't sound very good. So you want a deep enough container that the dirt will fall to the bottom, the leeks will float up top, and we have a nice separation of the two. We're going to get the sauce started. 1 tablespoon olive oil. We're going to add our leeks to the olive oil. We're looking to gently sweat the leeks. No color, no caramelization. We want the sauce to be a nice ivory color. So temperature management is key here. Pinch of sea salt today. We're going to add our cashews, 1/4 cup. 2 garlic cloves. 4 kaffir lime leaves. 1 small yellow potato. Go ahead and stir. Start the sweating process. This is going to help the leek release some of its natural liquids, bringing sweetness and a beautiful, mild onion flavor. Okay, you can see the leeks are starting to wilt gently. This is the perfect place to add our next ingredient. We're adding a 1/4 cup of dried vermouth. We're going to let that reduce by half. Okay, you can see it's almost completely reduced by just about half. We're going to add our plant milk, 1 cup, 1 cup of water. It's just enough to cover again. I'm a really big fan of that. It really creates intensity in our sauce. It makes the sauce focused. It's not diluted with a bunch of liquid. It's just enough. And if we need to add a little bit to get our sauce consistency right, that's better than us having a ton of liquid left over and a sauce that needs to reduce or be thickened. So we're going to cook that just until the potatoes are tender. All right, the leeks are cooked. The potatoes are tender. We're going to add it to our blender minus the kaffir lime leaves. All right, our sauce is pureed. It's thick, it's creamy, and most importantly, it's freaking delicious. This is one of my favorite ways to prepare the green part of the leek. We're gonna cut it into coins, about 1/4 inch thick, and we're gonna gently braise the greens. All right, we're gonna put our rounds in the water. We're gonna break them up so we have little rings. And we're really kind of, essentially rubbing the leeks together, popping them out, and really making sure we get any dirt out of the leeks. All right, so we have dried shiitake mushrooms. Gently cut the stem off. And we're gonna save the stem for like a future veg stock. We're actually going to rehydrate the shiitakes during the braising of the green part of the leek. So the shiitake mushrooms are really going to take on the flavor of the lemon, and it's going to take on the flavor of the leek, and it's going to have this really beautiful bite that's a little chewy but tender. It's going to be a nice balancing point to the dish. All right, it's time to make the sauce. 2 to 3 tablespoons olive oil. We're going to let the olive oil come up to temp. Temperature is really important today. If we cook them too slow, the leeks are going to lose their vibrant green. If we cook them too fast, they'll keep some of the green, but they won't be tender. So it's the total Goldilocks situation. We need it just right. So we're going to cook it on medium heat. We're going to really pay attention. We're going to add our shiitakes. We're going to do a nice zest of lemon. Just 1, maybe 2. We're going to do a pinch of salt. Help it release some of the natural liquids. Okay, the sauce has only been cooking for roughly 5 minutes. You could already see the transformation that's happening. They're melted, they're getting tender. I like to cook them till you could just have it like a teeny bit of al dente in the bite, just like this little tiny crunch. Not enough that you're feeling like you're eating raw leek or raw onion, but just enough so there's a touch of texture. I did add 1 little spoonful of water to this liquid, but you could see how the olive oil is emulsifying with the leeks, and the water has continued to reduce. The shiitakes are hydrating, and I think we're just about done with these. All right, the leeks are perfect. The shiitakes are done. And if you don't have dried, you know what? Just you could use fresh shiitakes. It's totally fine. But you could see how creamy this looks. I'm genuinely so excited to see the combination of Szechuan pepper with pumpkin, that mouth-numbing spice with the sweetness of the pumpkin, all balanced with the cream of leek. So we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right in here. You know I'm always about that combo bite. Here we go. Real talk, I could eat a bowl of this leek puree. It is so good. It's so creamy. So sweet, so smooth, so yummy, and my mouth is numb right now. I don't even know if I could say the words properly. The pumpkin, so sweet and caramelized, and then that Szechuan comes around and goes, BAM! What's up? And it slaps you across the face. All right, I'm gonna eat some more, and we're gonna keep cooking some fall food, so I'll see you next week.